Welcome to the AA Sports Podcast. Here are your hosts, Alan and Alan.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the AA Sports Podcast, episode number 33. We are your hosts, Alan and Alan. What's up, man?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole bunch, man. Other than around here in Virginia Beach, there's like these bioluminescence in the water.
The bacteria.
Yeah,
where it
so
glows.
all the water's like blue, glowing blue at night. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then pretty much everyone who hasn't started back school today.
Oh, man, what a clusterfuck.
I know one of Kirsten's best friend's daughters started kindergarten. I'm like, how's kindergarten doing virtual? And then sure enough, she threw a fit because she did not want to be on Zoom.
Oh man, perfect. My niece did the same thing. She full on was crying because it wasn't the way, it's hard, especially if you're first going into school.
Yeah, like
it's got to be hard for everyone. I mean, the teachers aren't used to teaching this way either.
No.
So everybody's feeling it right now. It's going to be a long year at this rate.
Yeah, so we'll see how long this goes, but let's go and talk into some baseball. And first things first, we lost two legends this past week. One was actually last week early, but it wasn't announced until Wednesday. First one up was Tom Seaver, former Mets legend icon.
Yeah, man. Tom Terrific, a.k.a. the franchise. He's one of the, if not the best Mets player in Mets franchise history. I mean, he died at the age of 75 due to complications of, Lewy body dementia and COVID-19, a combination, I guess. But his stats overall were he was 311 wins, 205 losses, I believe. Yep. 2.86 ERA, 3,640 strikeouts. He's a 12-time All-Star, World Series champ with the Mets in 1969, 3-time NL Cy Young winner, and many more accolades. Man, I mean, he was a really good player.
Yeah. And like when you finish WAR for your career at 109.9, like
exactly.
And then you did have the record for the Hall of Fame for most votes in until Griffey broke it. Then of course Rivera broke it, but still, at a time where and his career is weird, like being traded and then coming back and then getting picked in the first player expansion for the White Sox. And then eventually still come back to Mets eventually, but
yeah, he even tried to make a comeback. I think in like 1987. It didn't work out too well, but it was that was a weird comeback. Like he played for the twiiter Tides at the time for trying to make a comeback.
Yeah, during spring training, just try, and then
he's getting lit up. Yeah.
So, but and it's funny that he was on the Red Sox roster when the Mets won in '86. Unfortunately, he wasn't on the official roster for the World Series because he was injured, but he was there at the game, watched it. So, but he did get one real early. The career, like you said, and a lot of people argue, could this be one of the best pitchers ever? And if you think about a current Mets pitcher, stats are close. That I think there was like 75 wins that he had no decision on that he would have won if it wasn't for the no decisions, bullpen, etc.
Right, and I think there was like a stat of how many games he won if the Mets scored at least 3 runs or something. Like, yeah, I mean he pitched great, and he was pitching complete games. I don't know how many he pitched. I don't know if you have that stat, but he pitched he pitched a lot of complete games.
And then of course he almost had that perfect game for the Mets against the Cubs and lost in the 9th inning, and then he ended up getting a no-hitter finally. But, of course, it wasn't a Mets uniform.
Right, and he was the only player in the Hall of Fame to wear a Mets hat until Piazza recently. Exactly. It's a big name to be lost in the Mets organization and baseball around.
Yeah, Mets wanted him to come for the 50th anniversary of the 69 Mets. Fortunately, his dementia, they said he won't be making any more appearances no more. So I think the really last time he came was for the All-Star back in 2013.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. He came for All-Star Weekend. But they are still, like, before all this happened, there was a statue plan. Technically, Citi Field is now Tom Seaver Way 41.
Cool.
So we'll hopefully see the statue next year, if it ever gets done with the Mets' new owners when they decide to do that weekend. That should be interesting.
All right. The next person we lost, was Lou Brock.
Yeah. Cardinals legend Lou Brock, and it's funny that these two have a history, and they
exactly.
go within a week of each other.
I know, man, it's so nuts.
It's like, man, but Lou Brock, one of the best hitters, base stealers in history.
Exactly.
Of course, died of 81 on Sunday. Representative confirmed the death of the St. Louis Cardinals. He's known as a stolen base specialist, according to the Hall of Fame. 19 seasons, 16 with the Cardinals. He is one of 32 players to hit 3,000 hits, or more, and has the second most stolen bases in MLB history, which he was the leader, and of course, until Ricky Henderson took that record.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, exactly. He was best known for base stealing, like Alan said, and he broke Ty Cobb's all-time base stealing record. He was a 6-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champ, 8-time National League stolen base leader. Just think about that. You don't see that many people winning those titles like that in these days. I mean, yeah, that's a great thing to have on your side. He was fast.
Yeah, so he had the stolen base record from 71 to 91 when Ricky Henderson broke it.
Very cool.
So it's insane, having the 3,000 hits, and he retired with the average of 293, and he was batting 304 at age 40 in one of his final seasons.
That's crazy. Yeah.
It's like, man, it's just crazy to think about the players back then playing that long.
Yep.
So, arguably he's technically the best trade ever in Cardinals history.
Okay.
Because he was a Cub and they traded him, and that's the kind of career he got from him.
Okay, great.
So, of course, both these legends, rest in peace. It's always sad to see legends go. And then technically we have a third. It came out today that it was the former AL president of baseball. Actually, I think it's the last AL president before they switched that up. And I forgot his name. So I meant to write it down, but...
yeah, I mean, that news just came through. So, anyways, rest in peace, those three. They always say things come in threes.
Yeah, I was like, is this their baseball three? Like, God, it's insane. But, and it's funny, like you said, because, Lou and Steve at history, because Lou said in the All-Star game, he's like, you're going to be something special. And I think it was his first All-Star game, and sure enough, Tom was. And they both were, so... Let's get into some a little bit lighter news. We knew this was going to happen this year. This was one of the milestones this year that it was going to be not only if it was going to happen, it was the win.
Right.
And that's when Mike Trout hit number 300 home runs and now is the Angels leader in home runs.
Yeah, so Mike Trout over the weekend hit his 300th home run, passing Tim Salmon. He became the fastest player in Major League history to hit 300 home runs and steal 200 bases.
Yes.
It took him 1,235 games to do it.
Yeah. And, of course, pre-star was Willie Mays, who had 1,295. So quite a little bit difference, and especially with the game, the shortened season. So he's making it count this year.
Exactly.
But the cool thing is, the record holder, Tim Salmon, is with the broadcast team for the Angels. It was doing the game.
Nice.
He said he knew the record was not going to be his no more once Mike signed the extension. He's okay, I lost that.
Absolutely.
Record. Like if he left, I might have it. Like maybe.
And it's probably a record that he feels a little something about losing, but at the same time, records are meant to be broken.
Yeah, and when you like I said, Mike Trout 300. Who knows what this guy's going to finish with if you can keep this average up, and
Yeah, man. Who knows?
You got what? 11 more years of Trout on this contract.
I'm hoping he's going to be at least like Pujols and getting into 7 or close to it.
So Trout said he means a lot to him. Who doubled twice to finish the 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs, 4-run score for the 10-9 win. Once I got within 5, I started thinking about it. Then I got 299 the previous night, and I definitely started thinking about it. So it's very
right. How do you not think about something like that?
Yeah, it's like when you get to 100, then it's like 200, then it's like now. The record's 299.
Exactly.
Can I do this? And sure enough,
it's a big number, especially 300. 300 home runs, big number. 300 wins as a pitcher, huge number. If you got to 299 as a pitcher, that's all you'll think about is that next win. It's like you can't not.
Yeah,
because that's such a hard thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. So Trout's the 151st member of the 300 home run club, but he's just the 16th to reach it before turning 30.
Okay. Do we know who was around there? Like when? I don't know. I'm just trying to think. When did Griffey get there? When did somebody else get there? Either way, I'm just saying. Mike should be in. If he keeps this up, I mean, we should be expecting more records to be broken. I'm putting him up there, man. I'm thinking he's going to be a contender in the end of this.
Yeah,
he's going to be around Pujols numbers. I hope. Who knows?
Yeah, because once he came in the league at young with Harper that year, and then he. MVP, and the numbers he kept putting up, you're like, can he do this and make a run at Barry Bonds' record?
Well, I'll tell you what, if his team starts winning more games, he'll absolutely be in a position like this because he'll get more bats, more opportunities to crush it. We'll see. I think he has a good shot.
Yeah. Like if he can keep the average up, I don't see why not. Because who knows? It's insane that why are we even thinking about this? Because, 3 MVPs, hasn't been out of the MVP race his whole career yet.
Exactly. There's no reason to see him slowing up right now.
It's just unfortunately his team is not around him, but
exactly, that's what I'm saying. They get that figured out.
Hopefully, they better figure out the next couple of years.
Oh, and they're trying. I mean, the names on the team is like, how do you not? It's like you got Shohei, Pujols, you got Rendon, you got a lot of guys. I mean, they even have Justin Upton out there who at one time was a monster. I mean, you guys have names.
They're going to try to get one of the top pitchers this free agent class.
Have to.
Because that's been an issue, and then they didn't get Garrett Cole last year. So
who's the GM that just got all pitchers this year? Was it like the Rays or somebody who did that? Remember they just kept drafting pitcher after pitcher?
Oh no, White Sox.
The White Sox.
All their picks went pitching.
The Angels need to take note. That's all I'm saying.
So
all right, well, let's talk about another positive news.
Very positive.
This is the first week we've had, I felt like, in a while with no positive COVID testing.
I know. We thought last week was finally be it. Then Oakland at the last second got one, and then nothing. I was like, oh my God, I can write this down.
Right, and it was one. It wasn't like the whole team got it. And so this week we haven't had any, which is great news considering we're about to hit into playoff season.
Yes. And, there's still no word. I would assume soon if they are going to do a bubble, it has to be soon.
They have to announce it real soon.
Because rumor was that they're going to have to quarantine in a hotel a week before the playoffs. Even if they're home, away, what? So that way they travel to the bubble, they're good to go. So I'm assuming within the next week we should know if we're doing a bubble or not.
Okay. Yeah, definitely be something to think about. And if it is a bubble, I think it's doable. It's just where is the question.
The rumor is Southern California and Texas is the two big spots is what people are hearing.
Okay.
So, and then this next news is a little odd.
Yeah,
Joe West... Well, it wasn't really Joe West, but he was the crew chief, but ejects the GM for the Nationals from the game in Atlanta the other day, and of course, it was all kind of confused at first because he was up in the suite by himself.
Exactly.
And then you kind of heard people like in the Braves dugout say he has no mask on, so that's what people started thinking at first.
Oh, okay.
Was he's not wearing no mask there? That's why they're throwing him out of the game. Yeah. I'm like, but he's up there alone.
Yeah. So if you guys watched it, Nationals and Braves played, and the GM Mike Rizzo, he was ejected from the game for yelling at the umpires from the upper deck suites, and it was crazy because I was watching it for a little bit when I heard. And the umpires were holding up the game. They're like, we're going to wait for security to escort you out of here. And they stopped the game for a guy in the suites, man. It's nuts.
The third deck. It's not like it's like right there where the players have been ejected, like Strasburg and other Nationals player from the regular area where people who are not in the dugout. This is 3 decks, but I guess because no one's there. It happened where he was talking junk, I guess, when there's no music playing and empty stadium. I'm pretty sure you probably hear everything.
Exactly.
He's saying.
Exactly. And he's up there. He must have been yelling. If you're three deck up, yelling at the players and they can hear you clear as day. I mean, I know this is empty, but that's still you got to be yelling for them to hear exactly what you're saying. But yeah, it was weird because they were like, "We're going to stop this game until you leave." And as a GM, he should have just walked out. He was just sitting there on his phone waiting. I'm like, "Look, you're holding up the game. This isn't helping your players out either."
Well, I think they're probably losing the time, so he's probably a little pissy.
I guess.
But after the game, West said that he's been yelled at. That Rizzo was yelling at the umps, saying that you're brutal because of the pandemic, lack of fans in the stadium. You could hear everything. So he's like, and then Jess said, I wouldn't take that from a player. I wouldn't take that from a manager.
Let alone a GM.
If it was Donald Trump, I'll eject him too, but I'd probably still vote for him. But the microphones did pick out. That's why people thought Braves were saying like he has no mask on. Is that why we're getting holed up? But
so they didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, they were confused.
He was chirping away.
Yeah, like people on Twitter was like, "What's going on?" Like. You see this guy in an empty suite hanging out, having a good time, and, oh, sorry, like, you're hold the game up.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's move on. Another piece of news. I know last time we were talking about these unwritten rules and what we thought about them.
Yeah.
Well, since we talked about that with Tatis, the Rangers are now 3-17 since that 3-0 grand slam by Tatis Jr. What do you think about that?
This is why they went from a playoff team to a dumpster fire at the trade deadline, which they still had on to their bright spot, Lance Lynn. But even the game before they lost, so really they've been 3-18 since that, before that whole time frame, the last 21 games. So they're at 10-9 before that, and now they're 13-27, tanking.
13-27. Just think about that. What he just said, they were 10 and what'd you say?
9.
10-9.
One game over 500,
and now they're 13-27. That is crazy. And not only is that crazy, they've lost 6 straight games.
Yes, and they got swept by the Seattle Mariners, who's been arguably one of the worst teams in baseball.
But I believe the Mariners are on a 6-game win streak.
Yes, they're streaking now.
This is crazy.
So in that time frame, they've been outscored 69 to 126.
Wow.
They're averaging 3.29 runs a game, giving up 6 runs a game.
Okay, well, the averaging part isn't terrible. 3 runs a game should get it done in most cases, but if you're giving up 6 runs, what does that say about the pitching? Is that what it is?
Only thing is, besides Lance Lynn, which he finally did get lit up the other day recently, but he was been that bright spot that holding the team together. I think they've been kind of winning the games that he's pitched, but after that, they're...
I don't care how good your team is. Even if you're the Yankees, you give up 6 runs a game, you're not going to win many of them.
No.
At all. That's baseball right there. That's not going to happen.
Baseball.
Well, speaking of them losing, let's get into these current standings.
Yeah, man. Let's go and start with this National League.
All right.
So the NL East, no change at the top. We have Atlanta at 24-17, holding on to that playoff spot, and then Phillies, the next one, so they're holding their current playoff spot at 21-17. Miami is sitting right at 500 at 18-18. Mets at 19-23, and then Washington at 15-25.
Right. And, the other day, the Mets had a good shot. I mean, they were like 3 games out of the wild card, maybe, but they keep finding a way to lose.
Yes.
Like the other day, I was so excited. They were losing 7-0, and then they came back and tied it, or they even took the lead.
They're down 6-0.
6-0. They took the lead.
7-6, and they give up the tie.
And then we lose it in extra innings.
It went to extras and ended up losing. They scored a 2-run home run. And then we got to run back, and then unfortunately still lost the game.
It's more impressive that we got that run back. That's great.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't give up the 2, or we shouldn't have given up the lead once we got it back. We had the momentum.
Yeah.
It's our pitching. It comes down to bullpen every time.
Bullpen and starters.
Exactly. And our starters are always question marks right now.
Unless you're DeGrom or Seth Lugo recently.
Yeah, and like I said, question marks because Lugo wasn't even in the start rotation until recently.
Yeah.
And now that he got thrown in there, and we all know that he could do the job, well, yeah, he's doing it.
He's finally stretched out enough where he went 5 innings last time. So now it's like, all right, now we got a full starter again. And, Waka's first start from back injury is not doing well tonight. And then Rick's going again tomorrow night. So it's like...
and he's been getting lit up, too. I mean, it's just an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's talk about the Central. The Cubs, as far as I've written down, are 24-18.
Yep.
Cardinals are 17-16. The Brewers are 18-21. Reds are 18-23, and then the Pirates are down there at 13-26, which I thought was laughable until I, saw what the other teams like the Rangers were doing.
Texas.
Yeah, it's crazy. So what do we got? Cubs are still mowing it down. I mean, Darvish is doing his thing.
Is holding that thing together for them.
He found his groove. Yeah, he's absolutely holding that club together.
So technically, they have a 3-game lead over the percentage of St. Louis. So St. Louis technically has that second spot. Milwaukee is about 2 games. 1.5 games back from St. Louis for the other playoff spot. Reds are 2.5 back from the second spot, and Pittsburgh is 10 games out. Which it's almost we're getting about that time where we start eliminating people.
Well, I've already eliminated the Pirates for sure.
Yeah, they're pretty much. They would have to win out, and people lose almost out.
I honestly feel like at this point, every single team that's at the bottom of their division right now are out of it because none of those have more than 15 wins.
Yeah, and you think about it, we got 3 weeks left. You're talking about 15 games.
And you're talking about the other teams that are still doing good, going down, having losing streaks too.
Yeah. So the next of the West, the Dodgers.
Yeah, Dodgers are crushing it again.
They need 1 game to have a winning season guaranteed.
Exactly.
They're 30-12.
Right, and that's what me and Alan were saying, earlier in the season when we said it's only going to be like however many games.
Yeah.
We figured if you had about 30 wins, you're golden.
Yeah, and they're already there with 3 weeks left to play.
Right, so they could basically almost tank it like the Rangers and still have a shot, or they're still going to get into playoffs. So the Dodgers, I don't know what they're going to do. Are they going to ramp it up? Are they going to ease back? Or are they going to keep a foot on the pedal steady?
It's going to be interesting. Maybe let some players see if they can get in the groove. I don't know. And then, but Slam Diego's 4.5 games back at 26-17, so they can't really be too safe.
They can't be that safe, because they still got the Giants knocking on their door. But they're in a good position right now.
Yeah, Giants are at 21-21 at 500, and then Colorado 20-21, and then
the D-backs
at 15 and something.
Right, but the thing is, the Giants, they're getting momentum. It's just, can they keep it up? That's the question.
Yes.
All right, well, let's move on to the AL. So we got the East team. The East division has the Rays sitting at the top at 28-14. Not a huge shock to Allen.
Nope.
I thought the Yankees were going to be there, but then again, I didn't think they're going to be this injured. Then we got the Blue Jays. That's a surprise, 23-18.
Yep.
I kind of had faith that they could make a wild card. I didn't think they were going to be this strong, but they're looking to compete.
Yeah,
absolutely. Then you have the Yankees at 21 and are they at 21-20?
Yes.
They're still injured. I'm not counting them out of it, but the crazy part is that the Orioles are right behind them at 19-21.
Yes.
And then you got the Red Sox down there at the bottom at 14-28. But the O's
still have a shot. They're technically now trailing the Yankees for that last and final wild card spot.
And I'm not going to lie, this is a team that me and Alan both counted out before the season even started.
You're talking 1.5 back from the Yankees. The Yankees, who were projected to be the World Series favorite, got Garrett Cole, division favorite, and they're sitting there at third place trying to hopefully get in because of the expanded playoffs.
With nobody huge on their team. I mean, they just brought up Mountcastle, who's doing pretty good.
Yep.
But other than that, we're hearing names like Pedro Severino getting called off on the air and stuff like that. We're not no big names that are jumping off the board, but they're trying to compete. They could absolutely sneak in there in a wild card.
They could be that 8th seed and have to, well, of course, most likely, depending on the season end, as of right now, would face their division rival in Tampa Bay if they get the 8th seed.
And you know what we say, when you're facing somebody in the same division, I don't care what your record is, everybody can compete at that point.
And remember, the first round's only 3 games.
Exactly.
You win the first game, the other team has to win the next 2 to move on.
That's what I'm saying. If you fluke one of them, who knows?
Yeah.
Anything can happen. If any one of these teams get to the playoffs, I won't count them out because it's going to be such a weird setup, at least in the beginning.
Yeah. So then we got the AL Central. Technically, we have a tie at the top with the White Sox and the Indians at 26-15.
Great.
And then the Twins only half game back at 27-17. This division, we knew it was going to be tight.
Yeah.
But with 3 weeks to play within a half game of the top 3 seeds is ridiculous.
That is, man. That's pretty crazy. These 3 teams, I'm telling you right now, somebody is going to get a wild card from this division.
Oh, guaranteed. Like you said, 4 more games and you guarantee yourself a winning season, which we all thought 500 will probably get you into the playoffs this year.
Yeah, exactly.
And Detroit, they were almost there. They could still maybe get a run, but with how far the Twins are, then also the AL East, I think Detroit's almost pretty much out of it now, unless something happens.
But they're not far behind if we're counting like the Yankee stats.
Yeah,
I mean they're only a couple games back.
Yeah,
they're doing a lot better than we both thought they would be.
Yeah. So and then Kansas City, 14.
Not their year. This is definitely not their year.
We knew they're rebuilding so many years, and the young people, they're just not there yet. So then the West, Oakland still sitting there at top strong.
Absolutely. In the West, you got the A's at 24-14, followed by the Astros who are at 21-20, Mariners at 19-22. Then the Angels are at 17-25, followed by the Rangers at 13-27. Yeah. What I like about this division, though, is this division is doing something the other divisions aren't doing. This division is full of streaks.
Yep.
I know you got the A's at the top. They have a 1-game win streak. That's fine. But then you got the Astros. They have lost 5 straight games. The Mariners have won 6 straight games. The Angels have won 5 straight games. And then the Rangers have lost 6 straight. These teams are doing a lot of the same thing right now. They're either winning or they're losing. So what do you think about it?
So Seattle and Angels are both in the last 10 games are 7-3.
Okay.
So you're talking about getting hot at the right time.
Exactly.
Can they sneak into the 8th seed? One of them. Can Houston slip up? Because remember, Verlander's still not back there. So if they get Verlander back, then they can maybe try to hold on to that lead. But remember, if you pass them, let's see, Seattle is only 2 games behind Houston for that guaranteed playoff spot.
Right. And the Angels aren't far behind either. And the reason I'm saying that is because these teams, look, the Astros have 21 wins down to the Angels with 17. The Angels and the Mariners that are both behind the Astros are on at least a 5-game win streak. And the Astros are on a 5-game losing streak. If they keep this up, the Astros could miss the playoffs.
Let's see who Seattle has left. Seattle's playing San Francisco. Then they got Arizona, Oakland on a doubleheader, then San Francisco again, Padres, Houston, and then Oakland to finish.
Right, that's not easy.
And then Angels, they are hosting Texas.
Okay.
Colorado, Arizona, Texas, San Diego, and then Dodgers.
Look at that.
Angels
have a good way.
One of the easiest schedules remaining I've seen in a long time.
Right. Not saying the Dodgers or anything like that, but in between those lines.
But the Dodgers is last weekend. Everything be locked up for the Dodgers, like number one seed.
Oh, right. So they might not be playing hard. They might be saving. They're going to save their arms. I love it. So yes, the Angels definitely have a route to get into the playoffs, whether it's by wild card or by taking the Astros out. And the same thing with the Mariners. Look, they both. Didn't you say the Mariners play the Astros?
Yes.
If they keep doing what they're doing and they start beating the Astros, that's going to make headway for the Angels and the Mariners to surpass them and kick them out of the playoff race. So that's the one I'm watching right now. The AL West is one of those divisions I'm keeping an eye on just based off of the win streaks and lose streaks alone.
Yeah. So if Houston keeps slipping and Seattle, and it's funny, Seattle like sold a bunch of players because they thought they were done, and look at the streak they're on.
Well, look, man, you never know. You never know. This could be good for them.
Finally loaded.
Yeah.
Houston are playing Oakland right now. Then they play Dodgers, Texas, Arizona, Seattle, and then Texas again.
Okay, so they have a couple of possibly easy ones,
but
they got some hard ones in there too. So it's about 50-50. It's not a super easy schedule. It's a middle-of-the-road schedule that they have to win.
Yes.
They have to keep their foot on the pedal on the gas to keep this going. So they're not in a good spot to relax. They got the pressure on them because they're supposed to be there, and they might be in trouble. The other two teams, they got momentum.
Yeah. So next,
let's talk about the playoffs.
So in the National League, we have the top three seeds. Of course, is going to be Atlanta, Chicago, and Dodgers are holding from the division.
Okay.
The next spot is Philly, St. Louis, and San Diego. And then your 7 and 8 seed is technically Miami and San Francisco.
Okay, and these are all respectable teams. I know that we kind of joked on Miami, but, I can't – ever since they've been back, they've still been doing their thing.
Yeah, right there at 500. You finish 500, we believe that you will get into the playoffs.
I firmly believe that. Yes, absolutely. 30 wins should get you in.
Yeah. So we'll see, with 3 weeks left to play, it's time to put up or shut up.
Exactly. Okay.
So, and then the American League, of course, your three division leaders are the Rays. Technically, I guess we'll give it to the White Sox right now.
Okay.
And then Oakland, and then the other spot is Toronto, Cleveland, and then Houston. And then the wild cards right now, of course, would be the Twins and the Yankees holding on to that 8th and final seed.
So what I like about this is that we just got done talking about the West and the AL, and you didn't mention any of those two teams that are trailing the Astros, which means to me that there is going to be a very tight competition for these last wild card spots.
Yes. So if you think about, let's see, the Baltimore Orioles,
which are right on their tails, 19 and
1.5 back from Yankees,
right?
And pretty much so is Seattle for that 8th seed. And then from there, it will be another. So there'll be 3 games out. Angels would be 3 games out of the wild card. So it's still close. And then I forgot, Detroit will be 2 games out.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of things going to happen. There's still enough game for them to make up some room. It just depends. These games are going to be crucial. So it all depends on what team shows up. But there's going to be a big fight for this.
Very big fight. So we'll have to keep a very close eye and break down these next few weeks, especially with playoffs. We'll be getting locked up, eliminated the next 2 weeks. So we'll definitely keep an eye on this.
All right. Let's talk about some players of the week.
Yeah. Who's lining up, who's coming on the stretch.
Let's start with the AL.
AL pitcher of the week
of the week.
We might have the same one.
All right. Well, who you got?
Mr. Consistent this year for Shane Bieber.
Yeah, I got Shane Bieber as well. His last outing, he only pitched 5 innings, but, he gave up 5 hits and an earned run and 1 walk, but he had 10 Ks, which improved his season to 7 wins, 0 losses, a 1.25 ERA with 94 strikeouts. He is cruising this season. Got to be the clear favorite for the Cy Young.
Yeah. Ever since that opening day and second star, It's like, oh, Bieber did what? Okay, yeah, he's just staying consistent. Like, it's almost like what we heard from DeGrom the last 2 years. It's like, oh, you only gave up 1 run and 10 strikeouts?
Hold on. I just thought about earlier in the year when we did the vault picks, I think I picked Bieber for the Cy Young most wins in the future award because he was a young guy.
Maybe.
It was either him or Flaherty, but I'm pretty sure it was Bieber.
Flaherty sounds familiar.
I know.
I think maybe I picked Flaherty.
We'll have to go back and check these out. But yeah, if he wins the Cy Young this year, I'm already in the running for the 10-year record. Yeah, 1. That's more than a lot of people picked, I bet. Yeah. I bet a lot of people was like Verlander. Who else? I don't know.
I doubt
Kershaw.
So,
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, do you got a AL player of the week?
Yes. I have
position player. I'm sorry.
Position, yeah. Lou, God, why am I drawing a blank right now? Luis Grandal, outfielder for the Blue Jays.
All right.
He's batting this week with 467, going 14 for 30, 2 home runs, and I think it was 6 RBIs.
Nice.
And that's why now the Blue Jays are second spot in the playoff race.
Yeah, somebody's got to be in there doing it. Can't just be there pitching.
Yeah.
Great.
So who you got?
Yeah, my AL player of the week is none other than Mr. Mike Trout. He's always been crushing it this year. He's got to be one of the clear favorites again for the MVP. And I'm just going to talk about the last 5 games. Last 5 games, he's batting .500 with 8 hits, 3 home runs, and 6 RBIs. My man's killing it.
He's drinking that special Michael juice.
Exactly,
again.
Mike's special juice, whatever. And that's the reason they're on a streaking. Exactly.
Because it's between Darren Buddy finally being the pitcher, which I was surprised they did not trade.
Yeah.
They kept him, and that might be benefit for him if they can make a run or come close where they keep him and then they add a pitcher this offseason. So, but everyone is contributing right now. Rendon's finally fully healthy, so he's finally getting some numbers involved. And so you really can't pitch around Trout anymore because you got Rendon. So we'll see what this concludes for him the rest of the year.
Yeah, I mean, his other teammates are going to have to get it together, though, for them to make a big run. I mean, we need to see some more from all the old guys and the new guys.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's move on to the National League. National League pitcher of the week.
Pitcher of the week for me, it has to be DeGrom. I know as a Mets pitcher, it's kind of hard, but when you have 35 swings and misses.
Oh, yeah.
I
think he broke a record.
Yeah, it broke the record, and then he had 13 strikeouts, no earned runs, brought his ERA back down to right in discussion. Here we go. Is he win his third straight Cy Young that people are already asking? If he wins his third straight Cy Young, is he almost destined for the Hall of Fame now? It's that discussion now because he is right there yet again.
If he gets his third straight Cy Young, I think he's got to be an automatic yes for the Hall of Fame. I think what he's done so far, coming into the league, late as a pitcher, I feel like he's got a good case. I mean, he might not have the stats, but with what he's got, he's done the best with.
Yes.
And I feel like if he does get this third Cy Young, especially in a row, three-peat, you got to make room for the man.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Cy Young awards, my National League pitcher of the week is the other guy going up for the possible Cy Young so far, Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish of the Cubs. His last outing against the Cardinals, he won pitching 7 innings, had 1 hit, 1 earned run, and 11 strikeouts. But Yu has been killing it this year. I'm pretty sure he's 7-1 right now.
Yes.
But like I said, his stats are there. Him and DeGrom right now are the talks of the Cy Young.
Yeah, they're one of the 2 of the 3-4 that have been getting mentioned that we'll discuss about. But it's been the shocker because Darvish last couple of years has been mediocre to pretty bad. So that's the question mark going into this season with the Cubs was what pitcher is going to step up because Lesnar's older, Woods is okay pitcher, but then Darvish, what Darvish are you getting?
Exactly.
Well, this Darvish they're getting is the bright spot in leading this team to this division win, most likely.
Okay, yeah. I mean, Darvish definitely did not live up to the hype when he came over here. I mean, he was good, but injuries and other things like that happen, and who knows what happens when you transition.
A couple trades.
Exactly.
So maybe his confidence wasn't there,
but he's got it right now. He's whatever is happening is clicking.
Yes, very clicking, very much so. So what's your position player for the National League?
So my position player for the National League is Alex Dickerson of the Giants.
Okay.
His last 7 games, he's got 11 hits, 4 home runs, 9 RBIs. His batting average is .458. And like I said, the Giants are one of those teams that can get hot. And if they get hot, who knows what they can do? I like what he's been doing.
Like I said, right now they're sitting right there at that number 8 seed.
Yeah, exactly.
They're holding on to that last and final seed.
And they're one of the teams that look like they're having fun out there this year.
Yeah, and that could be a team that could easily steal a win from you, and then you got to somehow win 2 straight. And if your ace goes 1 and somehow they pull out that first victory, is who are you going to depend on your game 2 and 3?
Yeah, but it could be a Cinderella story for these guys. And we can't ever count the Giants out. They usually win every other year, but at least they did in the last decade. Their organization knows how to win.
New coach, new feeling, young players, they might have the mix. They might have something special.
Well, who you got?
I got Marcell Ozuna from the Braves.
Yeah.
He had the 3 home run game the other day, but for this week he went 13 for 28, batting .464 and 5 home runs.
5 home runs, man. That's pretty filthy.
That's just keeping those Braves right there at the top of the division and just not really extending their lead. they're doing okay, but they still have that strong lead that they're not willing to give up since like the first week of the season.
Yeah, man, and he's been making it count. Like you said, he's been holding the team together for the Braves. His last 7 games, he's done everything, and I think he even has 13 RBIs. Well, those are helping that team win and stay at the top.
And it's helping him out because remember, he signed a 1-year deal to bet on himself, to prove himself, to try to get that extra money, which we saw Josh Donaldson did last year with the Braves. Had a great year. Now he signed a 4-year deals with the Twins.
Man.
So Canada Zuna could do the same thing. It possibly could happen.
Maybe he can. I mean, at this rate, who knows?
Man, we'll have to keep an eye on this. But, with 3 weeks left in the season, like we just talked about how people were talking about favorites, we're figuring we start breaking down these end-of-the-year awards because it's like starting to keep an eye on who's our favorites, who are not. So first things first is the AL MVP race. Who's your, 3 guys that you kind of thinking about in that division?
Well, I don't know if I have a couple. So AL MVP, obviously I got Mike Trout in there for good reason. But the guy who's on my radar right now is on the White Sox, Jose Abreu.
He is on my list as well.
Jose Abreu, guys. Did you think we were going to be talking about him as MVP right now? I didn't. So far, he's batting .315 with 13 home runs and 40 RBIs. He's been absolutely keeping the White Sox in it.
Yes. He's that veteran on the team surrounded by a bunch of young guys, and the pitching showing up. He re-signed. He's the first baseman, and he is loving this team probably right now, and he is benefiting from all the other young pitchers around him because he's got to get pitched to, and like I said, batting .315 and knocking in 40 RBIs and having fun.
Right, and he's one of the guys that you're not really thinking about. Looking at the White Sox, I'm thinking like Tim Anderson and some of the guys who are big names are supposed to be. But when Jose Abreu gets out there, like you said, he's a veteran presence and he's making it work. He's throwing out a case for being the best player this year.
Yeah. So besides those 2 that you just threw out, I have one other name that's kind of been not really big hype, but he's been consistent all year. Is Nelson Cruz.
Yeah.
He's a DH, but when you're batting .333 with 14 home runs, 30 RBIs, and 48 hits, you're consistent. That's MVP.
You're the heart of the lineup. You're the reason why they're doing what they're doing. I agree completely.
Yeah, it's that slow start mode. He could be a finalist.
How crazy would it be to have a DH win the MVP?
He can get hot, and then that team ends up winning the division because of his benefit. It could get a real big discussion.
All right. Well, with that being said, what do we think about the AL Cy Young?
Let's be completely honest. It's Shane Bieber's to lose.
I agree.
At this point.
I agree.
The next closest person I have is Dallas Keuchel from the White Sox. He's 6-2 with a 2.19 ERA. His strikeouts ain't there, but he's doing it, the short ball way. He only has 32 strikeouts.
Okay. Well, like you said, it's Shane Bieber's to lose because his stats are more impressive than that. He's 7-0 with a 1.25 ERA, 94 strikeouts. I mean, you don't get better than that.
Yeah. When I was like, is this, do we need, I was like, who's the closest other one that if Bieber slips up enough, that someone could sneak in? And Dallas Keuchel is that other person that maybe can sneak in.
Bieber's going to have to get lit up, man. He's going to have to give up 6
in
the next game, and then he might have to give up more the next game.
If you really think about it, they got 4 more starts?
Right.
Most of the
that's
starting
what I'm
pitchers.
saying.
So he's really got to get lit up for Dallas, and Dallas does good to sneak in there.
And I feel like in order for Bieber to lose this and only 4 more starts or so, he'd have to get injured. There's no other way around it. I don't see him giving up that much or them letting him sit out there to get that hit. I just don't see it.
Yeah. So with that, you got to think of the AL manager spots. First come the first, you think about the team I have winning the American League or picks is the Tampa Bay Rays with Kevin Cash.
Yeah. Been doing great stuff there.
One of the lowest payrolls in baseball and still one of the best records.
And you could thank the front office for that because they obviously knew what they were doing.
Yes. And then another guy, of course, we just talked about is the White Sox.
Yeah.
With Rick
Renteria. That's the name I have.
Yeah.
My AL manager of the year right now, if I had to pick it, I'm going with Rick Renteria of the White Sox because they have been doing great things beyond expectations, and I can't wait to see what happens this year and next.
And then, of course, you can throw in the Oakland A's manager, Bob Melvin, and then Terry Francona from the Indians. Because if you think about Indians, they trade away so much pitching this offseason and previous season. They're like, okay, are they tanking? And Shane Bieber, like I said, Cy Young, and then other guys are stepping up. Even trade away, Clevenger, and you're still technically tied for the division right now.
Yeah, I like that. I like that manager for sure.
Yeah.
I agree, 100%.
So then we got the Rookie of the Year. I have two guys that kind of stuck out so far this year, and one of them was almost a preseason favorite.
All right, well, who you got?
That's Luis Roberts of the White Sox.
Yeah,
Everyone,
man.
this was the prospect. Everyone's like, I can't wait to see him play this year.
And we mentioned him last week. I think he was my player of the week last week. He's been crushing it.
Yeah.
And then so have the White Sox.
Yeah. He has 38 hits, 11 home runs, 27 RBIs. His average is only 266, but as a rookie, that's not terrible. He does need to give it up. And then the other guy I got is Kyle Lewis of the Seattle Mariners.
Right, and that's the guy that I have right now. If I had to pick my AL Rookie of the Year, it's Kyle Lewis. His batting average is .310. He's got 9 home runs and 23 RBIs. Absolutely great for a rookie. Great rookie season.
Yeah, if Seattle keeps winning, he might get more talked about because he said it's the West Coast,
Yep.
the Northwest Coast that no one talks about. A team that's supposed to be not nowhere near. If they can sneak into playoffs, Kyle will be the big factor. He'll be a clear-cut favorite to win that Rookie of the Year.
Agreed.
So then we get to go to the National League, and first things first is the MVP. And I have 3 names that they're close, and it all depends on what happens. And I think the first things first has got to be Tatis Jr.
Absolutely. I don't know how you can have this discussion without him in the mix right now. He's been doing great things. He's been all over every network. Yeah, I like him. I like what they're doing.
You go from a injured shortened season to getting second place in Rookie of the Year last year to finally getting a full season healthy again and being almost a clear-cut favorite to win MVP as of right now. The other guys, of course, it is a former MVP, but in the American League, Mookie Betts.
Okay.
And then also our guy, Mike Yastrzemski.
Yeah. So my National League MVP, the one that I wrote down just because I'm biased right now, is Mike Yaz. His batting average is .301 with 8 home runs, 28 RBIs, and he is absolutely helping his team get in there. If it wasn't for Yaz, we wouldn't be talking about the Giants right now, I don't think.
Yeah, look, Yaz is one of the big factors. We were real surprised that he didn't get traded. They believe in that team, and they think he's a part of their future. And then Mookie, like I said, when I picked the MVP for the season, I just said a Dodger because I felt like whoever's the best Dodger was going to probably get the votes.
Absolutely.
Until Tatis has been tearing the ball up lately.
Yeah, so that's something to keep an eye on, the NL MVP for sure.
And then we already kind of talked about a little bit of this already is the Cy Young for the National League with Darvish, DeGrom. And then the other two who are kind of still close but not really is Max Fried and Trevor Bauer.
And Max Fried, I believe, just got injured. He got put on
the 10 days.
He got put on injured.
That's going to hurt his
Absolutely.
chances
I don't have him in the mix at all. I'm with Alan. My top 2, the ones we got to keep an eye on, is Darvish and DeGrom, and respectively, they're very close.
Yes.
They are very close. I got Darvish edged right now.
Yeah, he's 7-1 with a 1.44 ERA, 63 strikeouts and a .88 whip. DeGrom is 3-1 with a 1.69 ERA, 70 Ks with also a .88 whip.
Exactly. And we know that wins don't mean everything because DeGrom has been doing it back-to-back years with no wins because he gets no support. Although he did get support his last outing, I hope it wasn't all the support we can give him because they put up 14. Finally, the Mets put up 14 runs for him. But, he only needed 2.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, it's very close. DeGrom and Darvish are very close, side by side, tick for tat.
Yeah.
It's going to be a tough one. If Darvish has a bad outing, we might have an opening for DeGrom to just take the lead by himself. But as of right now, if they keep pitching like this, it's going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, and then Trevor with Max Fried injury out, so it's pretty much put him. And then if you think the third horse of the race is Bauer at 3-3 with a 2.05 ERA with 61 strikeouts with a .86 whip, he's not too far. So if both DeGrom and Darvish have one bad outing and he has a stellar outing,
now we're going to be talking about
talking about a 3-head race going into the final 2 weeks.
Exactly.
Of the season.
And no, those are great stats. Bauer's putting up great numbers right now,
especially for a contract year.
Exactly. And even if he doesn't get the Cy Young award, those numbers alone for a contract year are solid.
Ace money this offseason.
Exactly. I don't know where you get it from, man. You Darvish is this everything's clicking up there.
An older guy, you thought, like I said, he had a 4-point-some ERA last year, and now you got a 1.44.
He's feeling it, and I like it. I like seeing you throw the ball, man. So that's pretty good. Good for him.
Yeah,
absolutely. But I still got to root for my boy DeGrom. I got to hope this 3-peat goes through because the Mets got to root for something.
Yeah, that's our guy, and Rookie of the Year, now 2-time, hopefully going for a 3 Cy Young. So it's going to be real close eye to watch. So the next category we got for is the National League Manager of the Year.
All right.
And clearly, you think Dodgers when he comes out with this record they're at on stream, but we expected of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Preseason, we expected them to be number
one.
So
it's okay, they were right there last year. They, of course, didn't get it done, but I think the clear cut has got to be David Ross right now.
You
with
think
the Cubs.
so? Absolutely. Look, man, nobody can call
First
a game
year
better.
manager.
Yeah, nobody can call a game better than a catcher. And old man Ross absolutely has the stars aligned. And I don't know what he's done with Yu Darvish, but him, Yu Darvish, and the whole squad have finally aligned, and they're like, look, man, we're going to make a run for it.
Yeah, remember, this is possibly one of the last years with some of this team together.
Absolutely.
Some of these guys are free agents, so they might walk away. So this could be the final run for this Cubs team. They got their one World Series win. Ross was a part of it. And now he's managing to hope to get that one final run. Then they might go rebuild mode. We don't know yet.
We
have
don't
to wait till this offseason if people decide to stay, take a discount, or do they leave and get paid.
Well,
only time will tell.
My nomination for this year's National League Manager of the Year is also a first-year coach of the Giants, Gabe Kapler. This team was not supposed to be in the position they are. They're not supposed to do anything, and he has taken them from nothing to being talked about.
Well, a couple weeks ago until, Yankees not Yankees, but Phillies make some trade, it's like, okay, it wasn't the manager.
Right. Exactly. And that's my biggest point because I liked him as a manager. I mean, yes,
2 years, he finished 500 both years.
Exactly. And I never thought it was the manager's fault. I would have pointed fingers at Bryce Harper first, but I don't know what was going on, but he is proving that he belongs as a manager in the league.
Right, because we thought Giants was going to be like the Pirates. Like,
absolutely.
Forgot this team.
Easily forgettable.
It's a bunch of real old veterans. The pitching staff's not there.
Yeah.
You lose,
Bumgarner.
So you're like, okay, this team is nothing this year.
We thought they were a super rebuild year, which they could be, but the manager has brought this team together to compete. I love it.
Yeah. So I would not be surprised at all, especially if they get in the playoffs. Then they will be discussed. Like, Cubs will be discussed and then Giants will be discussed because they weren't supposed to be there.
I agree. If the Giants can make it to the playoffs,
the Mariners.
Yeah, absolutely. If they keep doing what they're doing, and any one of these teams make it to the playoffs, make a run, those guys are absolutely going to be in the mix and should be talked about higher than the others.
Yeah. So we'll keep an eye and see if these teams are like right there outside or right at the bubble. If they can get in, the manager might look golden and might get those votes.
Absolutely.
And then the last category in the National League, of course, is Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
And I have one position player and two pitchers right now that stick out for rookies.
Okay, well, I only have one position player right now.
Yeah, that's all. I have one position, two pitchers. The position player I got is, of course, Jake Cronenworth from the Padres.
And that's the same guy I have.
40 hits, 4 home runs, 19 RBIs, batting .325 for Slam Diego. He's that bright spot, which, second base, they've always been wondering, and he's came in and did his thing. So.
Yeah, man. A rookie coming in, batting .325 for the season, absolutely helping out his team. And like I said, the Padres are looking good right now.
Like, don't have to be the power. He has Machado behind him. He has Tatis. So, really, he gets on base, and he gets batted in. So, he's doing his job.
Exactly. That's his job. That's what we want.
So, the first pitcher is Dustin May for me from the Dodgers.
Okay.
Yes, he's only 1-1, but he has a 2.88 ERA, 28 strikeouts, and a 1.11 whip.
That's pretty solid.
Which we knew going into the season that he was one of those candidates, one of the rookie cards people were looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this could be their next Clayton something in L.A., and he's so far has been so good. And the next person, unfortunately, recently his ERA has shot up, but was David Peterson of the Mets.
Oh, okay.
He was 4-1, but now he has a 4.2 ERA, 24 strikeouts, and then a 1.3 whip.
Okay.
So he has a bunch of wins, and they're like, okay, this is in discussion, but then his course last outing was very terrible, so his ERA shot up.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Maybe he has a couple more starts in him, get that down some. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, if he can get like 4 more starts, win 3 of them, 7 wins. And remember, he didn't start the season with the team. He got called up. So there's that benefactor depending on that. So we'll keep an eye on all these rookies and all these categories for the end of the year with 3 weeks left to play.
All right, so let's get into some Mets news finally. First thing we have to talk about is the selling of the team. It seems like AROD is upset. He thinks that the team was rigged.
Rigged. He's just really pissed. But I think what it was is the comments like we said about, Little Wilpon saying that he hates Steve Cohen. And Daddy's like, I'm trying to get paid, so move out the way.
Yeah, man. So after the news broke that Steve Cohen will become the Mets' new owner,
well, he's in exclusive
negotiations. Yeah, AROD over here is crying foul. He believes that the bidding was rigged in Cohen's favor. A source close to AROD told him that they took the bids and showed them to Cohen.
Yeah,
and that they were never given an opportunity to match the offer.
Yeah. So he was very upset. And some people believe that A-Rod was blackballed because he was talking to the former Astros GM that they are friends. So I think he was just getting his opinion on the situation, and apparently people found out, and a lot of owners did not like that.
So you're saying he's not going to get the votes, even if he was the winner?
So there's that rumor. But earlier today, it came out that they've now still submitted their bid, but now J-Lo is the operation president.
I saw that too.
I was like, oh, so her name is up there, and apparently their offer is $2.35 billion.
My only thing is that we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. Even though we think it's cute that A-Rod and J-Lo are trying to bid for the Mets, where are they going to get the funds even if they win the bid? That's my thing. And I don't know. Cohen has the funds. We know this.
Yeah.
We don't know where the money's going to come from when A-Rod and J-Lo take over. If that happens, we're not going to be able to sign anybody. Who are we going to play with? We're going to have guys out of the minor league system. I don't know what's going to happen. So I think Cohen's definitely going to get this locked up.
Yeah. What they believe is he pretty much had the votes going into the sale that was supposed to be finalized back in, what was it, February, March. So I believe Mets did call around to the owners, said pretty much got assumed that he would got the votes, so that's why they went with Cohen to start negotiation. And what people are more hearing, it's about 1.8, 1.9 in cash, and then Cohen taking on the debt that the Mets have, which is rumor is it's apparently $200 million just from this season. So you're taking on that, the previous debt, but I'm pretty sure he's still trying to get SNY from the Wilpons.
Has to. Me and Alan both said it doesn't make sense not to, because you're going to be losing money for years to come if you don't get that locked up.
Yeah.
And as a businessman, Cohen's not stupid. He knows what he needs, and he knows what he needs to do to make this work. So I'm sure it's a negotiation.
Yeah, it's definitely they're trying to get some deal done. And then the tweet or the statement that Cohen put out for about Tom Seaver passing away, you show how much of a fan he was growing up.
Okay.
His stipulation, how like watching Tom was a bright spot for me, especially remember watching that perfect game that he lost in the ninth inning. Like, it's a statement that an owner puts out, and it shows his passion for the Mets. So I'm like, I even feel even more stronger about him becoming our owner.
Because you know he actually likes the game and follows it. Yes.
He's always been a diehard fan of the Mets. It's like, okay, he has bleeded blue and orange. He's going to bleed blue and orange till he dies, and he will go for this team.
And as a fan, I think I absolutely like that idea. I always get a little worried when somebody comes in who has a lot of money but no experience or doesn't watch the game. That's kind of weird as an owner. But as a guy who's truly a fan and has money, well, this is exciting.
Especially he's been trying to get into baseball the last couple of years, and now the opportunity of him to get his hometown team that he grew up loving, I think is a dream come true for him. So let's say he does get the team. What moves should Cohen make this offseason to improve this team?
I honestly don't know what kind of moves he should make. The only thing that I've talked about and griped about for the last couple of years is always our bullpen pitching. If he can spend some money and get some bullpen pitchers in there that are actually worth something, I think that's where money should be spent. I like the team itself. I just think we need more help in the bullpen.
I think first thing first, they're gonna contact JT Realmuto's agent.
Okay.
Here's a blank check. What do you want?
Okay.
You're gonna get the best catcher, and then I think what you should do next is get one of the top two pitchers in this free agent.
Okay. Yeah.
Either that's re-sign Marcus Stroman or bring in Trevor Bauer.
I don't think we should re-sign Stroman. I mean, come on,
Well,
man.
that's the top two, so that's your two options.
You mean free agents?
Yes.
I think we should go out and get someone. Like, I don't know.
Bauer's the other one.
Oh, Bauer would be great.
Yeah.
I like Bauer. I like Stroman, too. I just don't, I think we need something more. We need like a Kershaw kind of name. Or
that's
something.
the two big pitchers that are out there this offseason. Unless you're going to have to trade, which we do not have trade prospects.
I think he should get 2 apples for the home run.
So, and then definitely you need to go out there and try to find some bullpen arms.
Yeah, bullpen arms is the main thing I can think of.
Yeah, but if we get a solid catcher, because this is Ramos's last year, we have no one that's going to be anywhere close to being ready in the minor league system. So JT is clear-cut the catcher. And since the Philly has not signed him yet, maybe they're not close on the money. Maybe he's waiting to see how the Phillies do this season and see how the market holds out. We'll wait. And then a lot of people believe Trevor's going back to California.
Okay.
And that's why a lot of people think Angels might happen.
That'd be great. That'd be great for the Angels.
So Stroman might want to stay in New York. So if we don't get Trevor, Stroman could be the other option. especially if Lugo steps up this year and he becomes, say, the number 2 behind DeGrom. So then really you need a third.
What about Syndergaard?
Syndergaard, I think you'd put in a 4th. Come back from Tommy John.
Yeah.
You wouldn't put him as a 3rd, but still, Syndergaard as your 4th pitching option. And then 5th, I think David Peterson right now has almost got that spot almost sewn up. He just needs to work on some things.
Okay.
Then you just go to bullpen. I think the lineup is solid besides catching because we're going to lose Ramos.
Well, that's what I'm saying. As a guy coming in, is he going to want a whole new team, or is he just want to build with the team that he has?
I think especially with Jimenez
I'm
being there, Dom being it, and then another thing he needs to do, he needs to resign. He needs to extend Conforto.
Absolutely. Look, I've been saying this for years, man. Conforto is super underrated. And this year, he's one of the best Mets players, period. Every time I see a Mets stat, Conforto's doing something. Extra base hits, driving people in. He's getting it done. And like you said, Dom Smith has found his way now. He's doing great. And Jimenez is the best utility player I've seen since Michael Kadire.
He's pretty much taken over that shortstop position
right.
now.
I like where the team's going. So, yeah, I like to see him keep the team the way they are, keep the team together, but we really need to go spend money on our pitching.
Yeah.
And if he could do that, man, what a difference that'll make.
Yeah. Especially with Conforto, next year, his last year of his contract, then he can hit free agent after next year.
We got to pay that man.
And with his possibly most likely getting some MVP votes if he keeps it up what he's been doing. So you're thinking about, top 10 MVP voting
and
this
a lefty.
year. And, we got to lock this guy up.
Yeah.
He might be able to take a little discount. We don't know what he's looking for. So we'll have to wait and see. But I'm almost thinking as a fan, I got to lock up my corner outfield.
I think he's looking for one of those big contracts. I mean, a decent contract. He's not looking for some small change.
No.
This might be the only big contract he can sign.
Yeah, he came from college. So, yeah, this is probably going to be his big deal.
Right. You know what else was funny is that the other day I saw McNeil hit a home run, and it was his first of the year. I know he's hitting 2 now, I think.
Yes.
But I was like,
this
man,
weekend,
how is that your first of the year? Like, it just blew my mind,
It's just unfortunate. Like, his average is above 300 now.
Which is standard for him.
Yeah.
McNeil is a hitter. I like
Yes.
him. He's like an Ichiro. I know he's going to get his hits. But I'm surprised he hasn't been hitting home runs recently.
It's just, I don't know, like, he's in the slump just like
Pete was at the beginning of the year.
Pete is like fouling off balls that he wasn't fouling last year.
Yeah.
So it's like he's finally getting some solid contact. He has 10 home runs now.
Well, you also got to keep in mind that Pete wasn't. He's not a rookie anymore.
Yeah.
They got more numbers on him, more stats on him.
Yeah, so
he's got to adjust. Everybody's got to adjust.
So everyone's going to adjust. Same thing with McNeil. Finally, a full year of information about McNeil now.
Exactly.
So everyone's figuring it out, but when we have one of the best lineups in baseball percentage-wise,
I know.
Then you go to the questions of who's going to start behind besides DeGrom and Lugo, what kind of outing we're going to get from our starters, and then if they get roughed up, what bullpen guys we're going to throw out there and what they're going to give us.
And exactly like you said, we have some of the best stats for hitting in the league, but we can't win games. It's nuts because you would assume they'd go hand in hand, and that falls back on our pitching, like Alan said. When the manager, his biggest, toughest decisions are deciding who's going to go out there and not blow this game, that's not good.
Yeah. Like when you took the guy that you depended on the bullpen to be a starter in Lugo, which Diaz has finally stepped up since he was given the role, kind of.
Okay.
So it's like finally he's kind of stepping up then, but it's everyone beforehand. Giselman went back to the bullpen. He's getting lit up. The guy, unfortunately, he gave up the 2-run home run to lose the game last day. The extra that we got from the Orioles, he gave up the 2-run home run. It's like, come on, who we're going to depend on? That's why this trade deadline, I said we need a starter because no one else is working out, and unfortunately, that might bite us if we try to make this run. So the next thing is, can the Mets make the run the rest of the year to get into the playoffs?
I mean, it's a tough one, but ultimately, I'm going to say yes, they can make a run, but they got to get on track now. I think prior to tonight, we were like 2.5 or 3 games back from the wild card. We're losing tonight, so that's going to set us back even further. Yeah. But the Mets motto, you got to believe.
Yeah.
So I think we can do it. It's just tough.
It's going to be very tough because if you think about it, if you look at our schedule, besides Baltimore, which is still technically in the playoff race tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah. And we're losing to them right now.
The next team that we will face that is not a playoff team is the last series of the year against the Nationals. After this, we go to Buffalo.
Okay.
We host Atlanta. We host Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
Philly.
Oh,
and
man.
then I think finally it's like the Nationals the last 4-game
right.
series.
So luckily the Nationals haven't been the best team this year, but like you said, we're playing 3 teams that are super solid. But, if we want to be in the playoffs, we have to beat the better teams anyways. But I feel like in order for us to get in, we need to start winning series.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We got Toronto this weekend, 3 games, then at Philly, 3 games, home against Atlanta, 3 games, home against Tampa Bay, and then at Washington, 4 games.
So that's what, about 5 more series?
We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, so out of these 5 series, I feel like we need to win at least 3 of them and break even on 2 somehow, at a minimum.
We can't lose no more series.
Well, I'm just saying, depending on what everybody else is doing.
So ultimately, we lose tonight. We have to win tomorrow night to break even with the Orioles. Then we go to Buffalo, which they said DeGrom's going to pitch Friday night now.
Okay.
So we have to win 2 out of those. Philly, we need 2. Sweep would be better.
Oh, I mean, I feel like, yes, we do need to win these series, but it also depends on what the other teams in the division are doing as well. But we need to win. That's the bottom line. We can't. There's not enough time to lose series, like Alan said.
And then in that final series of the year with the Nationals, we would probably need to take 3 out of the 4 to hope for something there that last series.
I agree, man. I absolutely agree. And I hope if it does come down to the last series and the Nationals knock us out, that'd be upset. But I think we can make a run. Will we make a run? It just depends. It really depends on how the pitching steps up.
Yeah. So, of course, one of the teams we're behind is Miami. So they're in Atlanta the next 2 nights. Well, they play Atlanta. No, they're in Atlanta. Then they're home against Philly for, oh, my God. I forgot they have to make up all those games.
Oh.
So they play Philly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times in a row at home. They go regular game, doubleheader, regular game, doubleheader, regular game.
Well, so this isn't great news for us either because both those teams are ahead of us.
Yeah. So then they play Boston. Then they play 5 games against the Nationals. Then 4 games against Atlanta. And then they end with the Yankees.
Okay. Well, if the Yankees are still doing what they're doing right now, then they will need to play those games pretty hard. But other than that, I mean, their schedule doesn't seem too easy or too hard. It seems middle of the line.
Let's go and pull up the Giants since that's technically the 8th seed right now. They are playing Seattle for the next 2 nights. Then they go to Slam Diego. Then they go up to Seattle. Then they go to Oakland, host Colorado, and then they host San Diego.
Oh, okay. So if the Giants make the playoffs, they really earned it.
Yeah,
because they got a tough schedule in our eyes right now, based on where the teams are standing and how they've been playing recently. That's a pretty tough schedule. Absolutely.
Yeah, I totally forgot Miami has all those games they have to make up. Oh my God, 7 games against a team.
Well,
so really, you're ultimately going to be seeing the same pitcher twice in that series.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah, man. So we'll definitely have some way better information on where we should be looking at if we can make the playoffs next week.
Yeah,
absolutely. Based on what we're seeing, and if it's still tight next week, then we still got some time to go. But the picture's starting to get there right now.
It's getting tighter and tighter.
Exactly. We're starting to see who's going to be in, who's not.
Yeah, like within, like you said, I think not tonight. I think tomorrow night Dodgers play. So they said if they get one, they ultimately probably can come close to almost locking up position probably through this weekend, depending on how play ends. So next week might have our first clinch, which would be the Dodgers for at least a playoff spot. Because you think 8 teams are in the playoffs, so at least they'll probably clinch a playoff spot within next week.
I would assume they would.
So, and then after that, it's kind of like who's the division, who's getting close, and then the elimination numbers will start coming up for at least the division stuff. But all we saw, like especially like the American League Central, that's going to come down to the final week, if not playing games. Think about if they tie at the end of the year, they're going to have to do a playing game, and then you got to play, 8 teams get in. Then,
yeah, man.
God. Whew.
Well, I can't wait to see how this plays out.
Yeah. So, most likely this might be if you're watching on YouTube, the final week for a couple weeks, you might see in this background. Because, my wife is expecting the next couple weeks, so you might see more of a Zoom background call or a situation because, it's almost any day now. We're in baby watch. It's kind of crazy. So, but we're still, baseball's heart. We'll still get this show out. If it's a couple days behind, we'll make it work. But, it's playoff time. it's the heart of the season.
Yeah, man, it's go time. So
it is. It's insane. Like bags packed. Like only thing I have it open still, so I can throw my camera gear and stuff in to take it to the hospital, and it's unreal. You think like it could be any day now.
Yep, any day now. I only get to change some diapers.
Oh Lord! But if you like what you hear, please like, share, and subscribe. Support the channels.
Down there somewhere.
And it's down here, up here somewhere.
There you go.
We'll catch y'all next week. We'll see you later.
See ya.